Welcome to the Viva la Mami podcast. I am your host, Jessica Cuevas. I am a mother of two on a mission to help redefine the meaning of motherhood as a modern Latina mom. Motherhood can be a complex journey, interwoven in two identities that often make us feel ni de aquí ni de allá. Viva la Mami is committed to providing you with knowledge, tools, and support to navigate the challenges and triumphs of motherhood as Latina moms. On the show, we'll be discussing culturally relevant topics that will help inform and empower you in whichever season you are in on your motherhood journey. We'll be joined by Latina moms, experts and professionals who can offer advice, practical tips, relatable stories, and honest conversations. So bring your cafecito as I invite you to be a part of this space as we create comunidad about the exciting and challenging parts of being a mommy. Ahora, vámonos. Hola, hola, Yvonne. How are you?
Hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you reaching out and kind of telling me a little bit more about your platform as well as what you do. There's just so much intentionality that you have with, meditation and how one can implement that in their daily routines, but also in assisting families, especially to kids. And oftentimes we don't really think about how we can implement this with our children. So I'm really excited to learn more about this because in the self-care space, like there's just a lot of, just like buzzwords and just like trendy methods about utilizing meditation as adults. But I'm really curious about how to incorporate, meditation towards kids. So before we delve into that conversation, if you can tell our listeners a little bit more about you, and that way they get to familiarize yourself with you and what you do. And so, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yvonne Hernandez. I'm a mama of three of future world changers and a wife. I am a Chopra Certified Meditation Teacher, a Reiki Master, a bilingual podcaster, and a Girl Scout troop leader. And I've been on this mission for a few years now, and it just fills my heart to see the kids responding so positively, and which motivates the families also to be interested in continuing a meditation mindfulness practice in their family lifestyle.
That is awesome. And so we'll definitely get to hear a little bit more about your business because I'm very curious, what you do and how you serve the community as well. But can you help our listeners understand what meditation really is? And are there different types of meditations? I'm kind of curious to learn it from your perspective and your expertise.
So meditation is just a beautiful practice. It's a tool that can help you regulate your nervous system, can help you through the many roller coaster emotions that we experience, especially the kids. And sometimes they don't have the words to express, oh, I am stressed, oh, I am angry, or whatever the emotion may be. And so meditation can help you feel a lot more comfortable or go through the emotion, just really support you without having to have anything physical to, you don't need to go to the store and buy anything. It's all within you. You go within to connect to that beautiful inner peace to support you with those emotions, with whatever it is that you're going through. And there are different types of meditations, and this meditation is an ancestral practice. A lot of people think it's a new thing. Where did this come from? But actually, it's really, really old. Way back, our ancestors would practice meditation, and so many different ways you can practice mindfulness. It would be through meditation, through yoga, through breath work, a sound bath, a walk in nature, just maybe being a conscious eater. Like when you're eating, like really notice your food, the colors, use your five senses, when you're having that meal, being together with family and being present in the moment with each other without devices. That's another form of mindfulness. So there's many, many ways that you can practice mindfulness or a meditation practice.
The way that I see meditation And many people, I'm sure, see meditation. It's like this, sort of luxury. Oh, you got to do some self care. Okay, go do meditation. And then you end up going to a yoga studio and spend hundreds of dollars each month and things like that. And when I think about meditation, it's like, I wonder if that fits in like certain populations where they're able to afford, these memberships and, different ways in which they implement that. And when in fact it's rooted in our ancestors, right? Like this was something that was practiced with our people. and and so yeah, I often feel conflicted with that because it's almost like, well, is this like cultural appropriation? Is it something that how can like us in the Latino community, how can we reclaim that? And bring this certain aspect, like a ritual sort of thing, like this kind of ritual back into our day to day, and not see it as like a luxury, or not see it as something that is oftentimes utilized by people that can afford memberships to like a yoga studio or what have you. That's kind of like my thoughts. I don't know if you want to add something to that, but I find it very interesting how it is rooted with our ancestors, but then again, people may utilize it otherwise, or differently.
Yeah, and I feel like we forgot that this is an ancestral practice because of colonization and capitalism and all that stuff, right? So many things happened, way back then and in between to now. So it feels like we don't have the privilege, that it feels like, oh, it's a privilege to go to a space, a wellness studio, a wellness space, to have a meditation practice, to practice yoga, to have any form of mindfulness, when actually you don't need to go anywhere. You can just be at home wherever you are, no matter how much money you make, where you come from, where your roots are from. It doesn't matter. All you need is just somewhere where you can sit down or lie down and go within and try different things. I mean, you can even be out in nature. You can go for a hike, you can go for a walk, even just walking down your street and being mindful of, okay, you know what? Today I'm not going to listen to my rock music or whatever it is. Today I'm just going to walk down the street and observe the trees around me, observe the grass, smell the fresh cut grass, feel the cool air around me, tap into, um, connect to those senses that you have, those beautiful five senses that you have to help you to ground, to connect, to go within. So you don't need a lot of stuff really. And so it's really beautiful to be able to share this practice, especially in Espanol, because a lot of our community think that, or I have been asked before, oh, do you no longer believe in God? What is this meditation thing that you're doing? And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
hold up. I do believe in God. Meditation has nothing to do with me believing in God or not, or changing my religion, which people have, questions about, like, oh, is this going to change my religion and all these things? But it's because that was, it was like a brainwash type of thing. So that way you only have like, okay, this is all you're going to believe in and that's it, you know? But it's not. Meditation is just a practice to help you regulate your nervous system, to support you with whatever emotions that you're going through, with whatever situation that you're going through, because we go through a lot as humans, right? So we need tools to help us. And especially, if you're not financially, able to go to that wellness studio or have that membership or whatever, you don't need any of that. You can just go within.
I like how you pointed that out. It's like two extremes, right? Where it's a privilege to utilize meditation or go to a wellness studio, but it's also how people think that it can replace spirituality. And oftentimes, like people think that spirituality is all religion, but there's different aspects of that. And I wonder how that's tied in with meditation as well, And the way that I see meditation, at least, it's intentions. It's like trying to figure out ways to, like you said, self-regulate, right? Like, what is it that I currently have in the moment that I can kind of distract myself? It's almost like putting your soul in a different place, and that we can bring it back and kind of be more present. And sometimes I take that for granted. I should be more intentional in utilizing meditation a lot more, especially right now that I'm in this season of life with two little ones. We are in full survival mode right now. And yeah, I should be mindful about, like, okay, if I want to be more present as a mom and be more intentional with my environment and appreciate my environment, whether if it's in my home or outside, and just to like appreciate the little things. And if anything, that's something that I need to understand with having little ones, right? They're a little bit more in tune with what is going on right now. And that should be something that I need to like look into that more. And so, coming from you, like from your expertise, and as someone that is trained, how has meditation helped your parenting journey, and how can it really help parents with their day-to-day lives to kind of ease them and be a little bit more present?
Wow. Meditation has definitely transformed my life, including my parenthood, journey. And the beginning of my parenthood journey, I was running on fumes, which a lot of us are because we're on call 24/7, very little sleep. And I felt exhausted. I was irritated all the time. Would get frustrated, things would set me off and I would yell. And I heard, okay, meditation can help you feel rested, even with the few hours that you have. And so that's kind of how I started into the meditation practice, because I did not have meditation growing up. I didn't even know what it was. I had heard of yoga, but not really practiced it. So I didn't have a mindfulness practice at all growing up. I wish I did. And then learning about meditation, how it can help you feel rested, I'm like, oh, I'm all in. I need the rest, even with the 4 hours of sleep that I just got. And it
Mhm.
felt amazing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, I can do this. And little by little, I just started practicing more and more and more. And now I'm able to respond to my kids' outbursts or whatever it is that how they're, having that moment, because they're kids. Um, and compared to before, I would just react and yell and snap at them. And now it's like, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath, take a moment to think about what I'm going to say because it's going to affect them. And so how is this going to affect them? Is it going to support them? Because I also have to put myself in their shoes. What are they going through? Because a lot of times they don't know how to tell you what it is that they're going through, what they're feeling. All they know is, I need help. And so I'm going to yell. I'm going to have that tantrum. Are you hungry? Are you tired? Does something hurt? Did something happen? And then when they get into school, things happen at school. They suck it up. They hold it in. They get home and they fall apart over a spoon. And you're like, what on earth? What are you talking about? Why are you crying over a spoon? Blah, 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 blah. Go to your room. Right. And it's like, no, no, no. So now it's like, okay, what's going on? And I ask more questions. I'm like, so did something happen at school? Did someone say something? And, reminding yourself, okay, take deep breaths as you're talking to them. And it has made a world of a difference, especially my middle one, because she's going through the hormonal changes. She's 12 years old. So I have 3 kids. My son is 14, my daughter's 12, and my youngest daughter is 9. So my middle one, I can see that she's going through that hormonal, roller coaster ride. And I'm like, okay, I have to take that into consideration. Things are happening at school that I don't know about. And so I need to be compassionate with her. And before I would have been like, whatever, you're crazy. Just go to your room, be quiet, figure it out. Just go cry it out. Right. But now I come from a different point of view and support her. And then we get to the root cause, and she'll get to the main thing. It's like, oh, that's the root cause. And I let her know that's the root of what you're feeling, right? And she's like, yes. And she starts crying and we hug and, and support her. So it's made a world of a difference for me to be a better parent, a better person, so I can support my family and those around me as well.
That is awesome. And it really helps you not just like self regulate yourself, but also like you're modeling this with your children. And in the whole like childhood development kind of space, there's always conversations about emotional intelligence, right? And I think that is, I could see that being tied in with self regulation and how meditation can help with that as well. And so, what are three simple ways to incorporate meditation into your family and your lifestyle? I'm kind of curious, like, what that looks like, especially when you have little ones, right? I'm mostly thinking about myself, but the majority of my audience has little ones at home. Like, when you're in this constant survival mode, where you feel like you don't have any time to do anything, how can you really add, meditation into your home? I'm kind of curious about that.
The number one tip I always give everyone, no matter their age, is take a deep breath, because we run on, very little oxygen. We're not taking deep breaths throughout the day, so it really affects our whole body, our brain. We can't think. Our brain is trying to function with very little oxygen. Our body's trying to function, but then you feel frustrated and you get stressed out easily. And so by taking a deep breath, so you as a parent start modeling. It's like, just stop and take a deep breath. And when they press your buttons, before you say anything, take a deep breath. Okay, what do you need? How can I help you? I hear you. Or can we take a deep breath together? And especially if they're really little, they're still trying to figure out and they mimic everything you do. So throughout the day, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. When they're washing their hands, when you're washing your hands, take those deep breaths. Instead of singing the happy birthday song, or you can sing happy birthday also, because, they got to wash their hands more than 2 seconds. Take deep breaths as you're washing your hands. Just take deep breaths. And then you can start the song, and then you end the song, and then take another deep breath in. But throughout the day, because throughout the day, that is already helping you regulate your nervous system. Even if you're not feeling upset or angry or whatever it is, it's already supporting your body so that if you do happen to have that emotion later on, it won't be as strong, and they're learning from you. So you as a parent have to be the example for them. No matter what, you can tell them do, but if you don't do it yourself, they're not going to learn. So throughout the day, take the deep breath, take time for yourself, and let them know, you know what, I need a moment right now. Mommy needs just a moment. I'm going to set my timer. I just need a moment right now. And you don't have to explain, oh, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Just, I need a moment right now. And if they ask why, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to meditate. This is something that I need to do to take care of me so I can be able to take care of you. Because if I don't take care of myself, I won't be able to take care of you as I would like to, as you deserve to be taken care of, So those are some of the ways that I like to support people with their families, and just self too. And then when you're in the car ride, sometimes that's stressful. If there's traffic on your way to school or work or whatever it is, at the red light, at the stop sign, use that as your cue. I'm going to take a deep breath. Okay, everybody, let's take a deep breath. It's a red light. And if they're really little, make it into a game. Okay, we're going to take deep breaths throughout this whole red light. And then when it changes, okay, now we can go on and continue. Now we can play a song or whatever it is, you want to do, or podcast or whatever, which, by the way, I do have a 5-minute bilingual meditation podcast that you can listen to on the car ride or before going to bed or first thing that when you wake up in the morning. It's called Decide Balance. So that's another way that I can support families.
Oh, that's great. And I'll make sure to share that in the show notes and on my website as well, because yeah, as far as with like finding different resources, right? Like there are times when I go on YouTube and put like yoga for kids. I feel like instead of it being a little relaxing, it's like overstimulating. And I'm like, how does this really relate to relaxation? And so really finding those tools too, right? Like finding the right tools specifically. Like I think it helps, set that sort of practice in a little bit more calm state. And, when I think about implementing meditation with kids, I think that is probably like the main reason, right? Like to help regulate your kids, to help them ooze down. And I'm thinking specifically like at night where maybe there's a kiddo that is just fighting to not go to sleep, right? Like they're just like, yeah, not wanting to, be in this kind of like routine because they know that they're going to go to sleep. And so, when I'm thinking about that scenario or even like behavioral issues or emotional issues, right? Like, what are some of the benefits that meditation can help for kids, like towards kids? Can you tell us a little bit more about that and some of the techniques that we can even use as
Yeah,
parents?
so some of the benefits could be, some of the benefits are better sleep, focus, reduced anxiety, reduced depression. They're able to be more creative, even though they are very creative, but it just really boosts their creativity. They're able to have connect with themselves, be more self-compassionate as well, because sometimes they're very hard on themselves. And just overall, their well-being, they feel better mentally, physically. When they get sick, they don't get sick for such a long period anymore. Like it's definitely shortened. I've definitely noticed that. And on and on and on. The list goes on. I mean, they sleep better. They feel more rested, not just like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep, but actually feel rested, which is huge. I mean, and that was the biggest thing for me. I felt rested, even with the 3 4 hours of sleep that I would get. And there's so many studies. Just Google, studies. What are the benefits? And there's a long list, and even research. A lot of research is being done on meditation with kids and just on people. So it's endless. If anybody needs some proof or some scientific data to believe on meditation, please Google it. And just for myself, I've definitely experienced a big change in my life, which I'll get to in a little later. But you were asking me, like, what are some tools that you can do? And so at night, one of the things that I like to share as a meditation practice, it's like, okay, we're going to take some deep breaths. They could put one hand on their heart, one hand on their belly. Or if they have their favorite buddy, stuffed animal, or stuffy, whatever it is, hold it. Hold it right here on your chest, or maybe on their belly, and they can watch it go up and down, and then put it on your chest so they can feel it. Okay, close your eyes, imagining your body, is feeling really warm and safe in your arms. And we're going to tell your body, okay, you are calm. Because sometimes when you tell them that you are calm, they're like, oh, no, 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 I'm not. But it's like, okay, you are the teacher now. You're going to help your buddy go to sleep. And so it's like, okay, let's tell your buddy, you are calm. Your mind is relaxed, and just go through every, relaxing word that you can think of, and just taking the deep breaths and just slow your voice. And before you know it, they are out because they feel like, oh, I'm helping my buddy go to sleep because they're very active right now. If they're really little, if they're a little older, it's like, okay, just taking the deep breaths. And then you yourself, if they're like in elementary school, it's like, okay, my mind is relaxed. My body is calm. I'm tired, and just taking those deep, like long, deep breaths. And you can even start scanning your body. Okay, my mind is relaxed. My cheeks are relaxed. My eyes are relaxed. My jaw is relaxed. And then just take your time, deep breaths in between. My shoulders, maybe move your shoulders, relax your shoulder, and just start scanning your whole body. And even you can even go through each finger, my thumb, the top of my thumb, the bottom of my thumb, and now my second finger, and then my third finger, the top of my, and just make it as long as possible. And before you know it, they are out. I mean, even you yourself as a mom will probably pass out. It's happened to me. But
That's funny.
but it really does help you, calm down your body, because you're telling your brain, oh, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm ready to go to sleep. All these words. It's like, oh, yeah, and you start believing because you're telling yourself that you are. So it's also a mindset thing, right? You're tricking your brain that, oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and it even helps me myself as an adult. Sometimes like I have so many things going on in my head. I'm like, okay, time to quiet down. I'm relaxed. My mind is relaxed. My body is tired. My body's ready to go to sleep. I can feel my comfy pillow, my warm blanket, and just start making myself comfortable, and I'm out.
That's awesome. You're about to put me to sleep.
But something that I wanted to share, meditation can help people in so many ways. And for me, has been a physical and mental change in my life. So in 2003, I got married. I moved from Texas to California, started a whole new family, new life, new friends, new environment. And at the same time, I started a laser hair removal therapy, which activated the vitiligo on my skin. So my underarm started turning white, my bikini area, and it just threw me off. And so my dermatologist said that vitiligo is an autoimmune deficiency disorder and everybody has the vitiligo gene, but it's activated with high stress. So for me, it was the laser that, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, basically. And even though they did disclose, oh, 1 in a million, but we have to disclose that it's possible you could lose, your melanin. I'm like, yeah, whatever, 1 in a million. Well, I'm 1 in a million. And slowly I started letting go of things, toxic things, mindset, just things started shifting in my mind. But my prayer kept going, why me? Why me, God? I don't get it. Why me? And then one day everything shifted. Okay, God, this has to be a blessing in disguise. Show me, what do I need to know about this? And slowly I let go of watching the news, watching horror movies, super action movies, just anything that would you know, put my body in this anxious mode, right? Like my heart was like racing. And so I figured, okay, I need to start stepping back, taking care of myself. And so the vitiligo was a way of my body basically yelling at me, you need to stop. You need to slow down. There's so much going on and you're not taking care of yourself. 5 years later, I became mom. So that's a whole other shock on your body. So my vitiligo just definitely went nuts. And it took me down this spiral of negativity, self-hatred. I was super uncomfortable in my skin. I was ashamed, embarrassed. I hated being out in public, showing my arms. And because I didn't want to show anybody what was happening with my underarms or the spots that I had, and I didn't want to explain, and it was just too much for me. But I heard about meditation and how it can help me feel better. So all these things started happening. And then at one point, my 3 little ones were all under 5 years old. So for sure, I was super exhausted. But I heard this beautiful quote by the Dalai Lama where he says, if every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence within 1 generation. It really opened up my eyes because I thought, wow, if my kids' generation learn to meditate, their generation and future generations will be able to witness world peace. The world right now is in chaos, right? And so the children, they're the future. They're the future world changers. So what if we taught them to come from a place of inner peace, inner guidance, a place from pure love to make these decisions, to make the world a better place? And my life just started just shifting with all these things coming into my path, all these clues, signs, symbols, and clues are coming into my path. And one day I happened to be on the We'll Grow Latina community platform, and they offered a Meditation 101 webinar. And that's where I learned that the Chopra Center offered a meditation teaching certification. And I'm like, that's where I need to be, because before I was looking where do I go and the money and who's reputable, but my kids are still really little. I don't really have time and whatever. But the seed, I planted that seed. I wanted to get certified and learn from someone who's credible and reputable, right? And then when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. And I went through the program. And then when I finished the program, I received the message, I'm going to teach meditation to 1 million children. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. That is my path. And so just just looking back at how everything started aligning, the quote, my kids, just everything. I even started volunteering at my kids' school, to support my son and their classmates through a big transition phase. And wanting to learn more, I started the podcast because I wanted to be transparent with families, because someone asked me, you no longer believe in God. And so I'm like, well, what's happening? So all these things started happening for me. And so now, I'm at this place now where I am the expert. I can teach families and be able to teach them in Spanish and Espanol, share about meditation. What is meditation? It's about connecting with that inner calm, that inner peace that lives inside of us. It's not changing your religion. It's not that you're going to let go of believing in God. None of that. It's about you, about remembering that you have that inner peace inside of you. And so connecting with the family so that they can support their children, because thinking about a lot of these leaders that are making just terrible decisions right now, they didn't have the support. They didn't have tools to regulate their nervous system. So they're coming from a very toxic place, and, a place of greed and negativity and just all of that negative stuff, right? But what if you come from a place of peace, a place of love, a place of empathy?
Mm.
Wow, those decision makers would be making totally different decisions right now, you know? It just blows my mind. I'm like, why don't they meditate? It's so simple. It's so easy, right? No one taught them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and how the stars aligned, for you, and you manifested it. You were looking for that sign and you found it. And the mission that you have with your platform, the fact that your goal is to teach meditation to 1 million children, like that is so intentional. And how that's tied in with how this generation can make effective change, right? And that way they are self regulated, that they are in tune with their feelings, their emotions to make decisions. And you are so right about, the current people that lead our world, right? Like they're probably missing some form of their past, and perhaps they are seeking that void that they had maybe through their inner child. Like you
Right.
never know. And it's true. When you think about politicians, they behave like
Oh, yeah.
children. And yeah, and that is because perhaps they need some healing to do. And the fact that you are being so intentional, right, with this generation, like I am all for it. And I love that. And so, can you tell us more about Decide Balance and really what inspired you to start this business venture in being so intentional about teaching meditation to 1 million children? And I'm also wondering, are you counting?
Yes, so I'm over 2,000 kids right now. So it's super exciting to see that
Nice.
number grow little by little. But it's all about connecting with people and just asking, hey, can you connect me with other families, other, schools, organizations, like, who wants to join on this mission, and explain my journey and what it is that I'm doing, the purpose of it. And so Decide Balance, basically it's a safe space for families to come in and find support, tools to help them, just for their day, for their family, for their lifestyle, for their future, for the future ancestors. And I do have within Decide Balance, I have a virtual space called Oasis, where we meditate twice a month virtually, meditate together in community with your kids. And I record all those sessions as well. We meditate for 15 minutes, do some breathing exercises together. And you can watch those at any time. Every month, I upload a mindfulness tip. So then that way, you can see different ways to incorporate mindfulness in your lifestyle, in your family's lifestyle, and resources as well that you can find. And just anything that starts coming up, I start sharing. So that's my offering that's how another way that I'm trying to reach my goal is like, okay, join my community so we can meditate together in community, which makes a really big difference when you meditate together. And even if you can't be there live, don't worry, just watching the recording, energetically, we're still together as a community. And so it's just been a really beautiful experience to share that platform. And so Decide Balance, I feel it was one of those names that came up, and I was very intentional with having a bilingual name. So decide balance, decide balance. And when I think back, is I decided that balance inside of me, when I started making that shift of letting
Mm.
go of all these things. And so one more thing that I want to share is I am so happy to share that 80% of my melanin that had disappeared has come back. My elbows, back to brown. I used to
Wow.
have huge white spots on my elbows, on both of my elbows. There might be some little faint. My knees are back to brown. The back of my neck was white.
Oh my
Back, I had all
gosh.
these spots. My underarms are still white, but not as bright. I mean, it was bright white, like my top. It was bright white. My underarms are bright white, but now I could see the color is starting to come in. And just in different areas, it's
Wow.
so mind blowing that I've been able to do this myself. And I'm like, wow, when you allow your body the time, the space to pause, which is not really common in the Latino community or Black and Brown communities, because we're taught like you gotta work, you gotta hustle. If you stop, you're lazy. Eres floja to work. Why are
Mhm.
you laying
Mhm.
around? But that's what, generations back were told they had to do in order to survive, or also with colonization, our ancestors were turned into slaves. And so they were not allowed to rest. So then we carry that with us and we feel and we feel it. And sometimes it comes up. Like I feel exhausted and I'm like, I'm just gonna take a break. And I go lie down and then I hear my husband coming. I'm like, he's here, like I need to be doing something. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm taking this moment for me. Like I deserve to take a pause and take this rest because
Yeah.
I am exhausted. And I give myself permission to rest, which
Right.
was really hard to learn that it's okay to rest as a mom because I did not see that example in
Mm.
my family. And so now you know, thinking back and I'm like, whoa, I've done a lot of work to get to this space, giving myself permission to rest, doing the inner work, the healing, you know, really, really doing the work has completely transformed my life, not just mentally, but physically. And I can show people, look what it's done. Because a lot of people with vitiligo, it just spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads, because they don't have tools to support them. But that's what it is. It's a shock on your body, whatever it was that happened, a trauma or whatever. Um, it just goes all over the body. And that could be with any other disease and any other illness too, because when your body is stressed out, it causes inflammation in your body. Inflammation can turn into illnesses and diseases. So sometimes we wonder, like, why do I have this? Why do I have that? Well, are you stressed? And usually the doctors will be, are you stressed? That's usually the number one question. How is your life? How is your stress level? And if it's high, oh yeah,
Right.
that is your body yelling at you, slow down. Whatever it is that's popping up on your body, step back and think about it. What is my life? Do I take a deep breath? Am I taking time for myself? Am I setting boundaries? Am I really taking care of myself? And we are taught that that's what we have to do, right? But no, if we don't take care of ourselves, how are we supposed to help others, right? Like serve, you cannot serve from an empty cup. So you got to fill your cup. And that was really hard for me to learn and really really implement. But now I'm at a place where, oh yeah, I'm going to fill my cup and then I'm going to serve and help and support others. I'll give from my overflow basically.
So many nuggets here that you shared. First of all, the fact that you have like healed yourself, really. You are in this healing process where you didn't have to like seek medication. And then that's oftentimes what our comunidad does, right? They're just like, ¿qué pastillas me puedo tomar para, to cure myself? And it's like, well, if you do other alternatives like natural, holistic wellness that are rooted in our ancestors, right? Why can't we reclaim that? And that way we can start healing our bodies in a more natural, holistic way, right? And And I immediately thought of that. Like, look at you through meditation. You are able to just like get your melanin back, and that is awesome. For me, it's like a miracle almost because you often
Right.
don't hear that. So I'm just amazed. I am so amazed. And also like the fact that, when talking about motherhood, right? And I like to claim the word madrehood in this aspect because this podcast is very culturally relevant, to the Latina mom. And the way that we grew up as Latinas, it's all about serving others first. Darles de comer en la mesa, a toda la gente, and you eat at the very last. Like you end up eating the scraps almost because ya no quedó la comida, or you always have to prioritize others, and you just put yourself last. And it is very hard to shift that mindset, right? As when you're hearing these messages growing up, And so, what would you say to a mom who is listening, who wants to implement like this sort of practice in meditation, pero she either says like she doesn't have the time or she doesn't know how? Like, what would you say to this mama?
Yeah, that is a limiting belief. And I want to say, remember, it is your birthright to rest. It is your birthright to prioritize yourself so that you can be whole and take care of yourself, because you're going to fall apart, completely fall apart. I fell apart and I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn to give myself permission. So if you need permission, I give you permission to rest, to pause, even if it's 5 minutes. Girl, take extra 5 minutes in the bathroom, lock the door. A lot of times they're like, oh, but they come into the bathroom, they come into the shower. Girl, lock the door. Lock the door.
Yes. That's your one
Yes.
and
And
only
like
time.
whatever it is, they're crying, having the tantrum. Just take deep breaths in the bathroom. Even if they're having a meltdown, they're not going to die in 5 minutes because they're crying. Come on, they're going to be fine. I
Yeah.
promise. So I give you permission to rest, to take those extra 5 minutes in the shower, in the bathroom, or just go to the bathroom, even if you don't have to go. But you can just step away. Like if it's too much at that moment, it's okay to step away. You don't have to yell, because when you yell, then that activates you more. It activates the child, and it's just a big explosion, right? So we don't want to go there. So you can start being the example. I need a moment. I'm going to step away. And even if they're still having that meltdown and whatever it is, and you still feel guilty for not attending to them in that second, in that very moment, it's going to be hard, but it's okay. Everyone will survive. And you will feel better in the long run because you're starting now to take care of yourself. Start taking those deep breaths. You can even start scanning your body and helping your body to regulate, release that tension, that stress, whatever it is that you're feeling in your body. And find support. You can listen to my podcast. You can just Google and watch videos, whatever is easier for you at that moment, and seek support also. And so that's one of the things, within the Oasis community, when we meditate twice, we have that extra time to come together in community, have that conversation. What do you need support with at this time? And so I do offer that support for families, especially for the moms, mamacitas, I hear you. I've been there. Oh, I have been through all the things with 3 kiddos. Girl, yes, I hear you. And it's tough and it's challenging, but you will survive. And it's also, reaching out for help. That was so hard for me to reach out for help, thinking that I had to do everything myself. And finally, I heard someone say, well, ask for help. I'm like, oh, I can? Is that okay? Really? Like it's allowed for me to ask for help? Okay. Take that extra hour when you go to the grocery
Mm.
store, have your, partner, spouse, whoever, family member, watch the kiddos. Take 2 hours to go grocery shopping if you need to. It's okay. Girl, I feel guilty shopping for 2 hours for the groceries. I took my time, and then I'm like, oh, I need to hurry back. I need to make sure that, my husband's okay and the kids are okay. And like I had all this whole like worrying about them. Like, it's only 2 hours. Like, they're fine. Daddy's a human
Like,
adult. Like, he can take
right.
care of them. If something major happens, he knows he can drive them to the hospital. Like, it's okay.
Exactly. No, yes. Yeah. Thank you for normalizing that. And especially for new moms, it's like a struggle. You lose your old identity, you have this new identity, you want to be the perfect mom, and you just want to emulate like what we often see like on social media of being the super present, super involved mom. And that is pretty toxic, you need your space. And I love what you're telling us here because I think it is very important to just like take any opportunity to just like, you know, focus on yourself, right? And prioritize on yourself and really checking in on how you're feeling and what kind of emotions are going on right now and just like breathe. And it is so interesting how we take breathing like for granted, and that is a superhuman, what's it called? Like it's like out of survival, right? We need to breathe in order to live. And yeah, so I want to thank you for just normalizing this and letting mamas know that it is okay to either let things go, to ask for help and definitely check in and have just like alone time because that is so
Very.
important. Yes. Yeah, we are at the end of our interview here, but I often ask my guests on the Viva la Mami podcast, how are you redefining motherhood?
Redefining is prioritizing myself for sure. That's how I feel because I'm able to be present for myself. I'm able to be present for my family and for those around me. So I think prioritizing, that's what came up for me.
I love it. Yeah, well, Yvonne, where can people follow you or connect with you? That way they can learn a little bit more about what you offer.
I can be found everywhere as Decide Balance, Decide Balance on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube as well. You can just search. My podcast is also called Decide Balance. So on any podcast platform, it's available. And then the Oasis platform, it's within my website, which is decidebalance.com. So I look forward to seeing you there within the Oasis. Join the community, join the movement to, support and help me reach this mission to teach meditation to 1 million children because every child counts. Just making a difference with one child, it will have a ripple effect, not just within their little family, but the community and beyond. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
share and support more and more families. So please connect with me.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll make sure to share this on the show notes as well as on my website as well. And that way people can connect with you and get to learn a little bit more about what you have to offer. But Yvonne, this is amazing. I just love what you are doing. I think it helps a lot when you're focusing on the kids, right? On the children, because they are our next generation. They are our future leaders. And if they haven't healed or even self-regulated themselves, they could make bad decisions. And I just love what you're doing. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here.
One more thing I want that just came up that I wanted to share right now. It's a really pivotal moment in my life where before I was telling you with my vitiligo, I felt really embarrassed in my own skin, where I'm now at a point where I can wear tops, that are like off the shoulders or spaghetti straps. And I actually like feel comfortable in my own skin. So I just wanted to share that because it's a really big moment for me. I'm 48 this year, and it's like, wow, this huge transformation has happened where I went from this super low vibe, emotions, feelings, very toxic mentality, where now I'm at a whole different space where I feel empowered. I feel so poderosa, where I can be comfortable in my skin no matter what it looks like. My underarms are still white, but I could see the changes are happening. And now I'm able to share my story if people ask me, and it's okay now. So I really wanted to share that because it's a really pivotal moment in my life right now.
Yes, and you deserve, like, you should share this because it is so empowering and you are glowing, mujer. Like, I sense a lot of positive energy from you and it's amazing. And keep doing the work that you're doing for la comunidad, but it's also such a great testament that meditation works and it helps. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Gracias.
Of course. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation. Bye bye.
Mujer, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to the Viva la Mami podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a favor and follow the podcast and leave a rating and review? Hitting that follow button and reviewing my show will allow other mommies like you find this podcast. Your review will also tell me if you enjoy the show, so I would truly appreciate your thoughts. Don't forget, please share this podcast con tus amigas. Also, make sure to follow me at Viva la Mami on Instagram or visit vivalamami.com. Please note the information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. Okay, mujer, thank you for joining y nos vemos in the next episode.